Welcome back, YouTube. I'm here with another Pocket video. I think that this game has literally been my addiction for like the last week, and for a good reason. I love opening packs. I love playing like simplified TCGs. I love Duel Links, and this is like kind of giving me Duel Links vibes. And with that, I think that there's going to be a lot of power creep as we keep going. That's natural for every card game to have power creep. So I think the question I think that many people have is like, yeah, like these cards like Mewtwo is very good right now. You know, like Pikachu is very good right now. But what if you're someone that doesn't really like want to like battle too much right now and just like collecting cards, but may have interest in the future, or you're someone that likes battling right now but want to know what you should chase after that has like longevity, right? And I think that's what this list is for today. That's what this video is made for. It's going to be pretty casual yap session where I yap about mons that I think are going to have longevity for as long as this game exists, truthfully. And I think what better way to start it than I think talking about the card of the card that everyone loves or loves to hate is Misty. I think that and to begin this list, I'm not gonna talk about Pokeball or Professor's Research, which everyone should get two of. I think this game comes with two of Professor Oak, or if it doesn't come with two of Professor Oak, is like the first card that you immediately buy with your tickets. I'm going to talk about cards that you can pull from through Genetic Apex. So again, card everyone loves to hate is Misty. I think that this card is going to be the reason why we aren't allowed any good water types, right? Or water types that deal significant amounts of damage. The current damage cap for like the strong water cards are like Starmie EX and Articuno EX, which is like 80 and 90. Obviously Blastoise EX exists, but stage 2s are kind of hard to get to, and like one of the draws of Misty is how fast you get to attack, right? You've seen probably so many videos on Twitter or X, however you want to call it, where someone flips 3 heads, clicks Blizzard, and the game is over, right? So this card is going to be a card that is going to be strong for as long as it's around. And if there's ever, and I think it's like I said, it's the reason why we can't get strong water cards. The moment we get a really strong water type, Misty is going to be busted. Everybody and their mama is going to want to use Misty. I already am using Misty, but any like energy, I think this game has like 2 restrictions, right? Like it's hard to draw like stage 2 and 1s, and you can only attach 1 energy per turn. So naturally cards like these that are kind of costless, besides flipping a coin and using your supporter, are going to be strong. And as we get even a way to like consistently get Blastoise, I think Misty's going to be a cornerstone of every single water deck, whether you are someone that believes you can never flip heads or you're someone who watches your opponent flip 7 of them, right? Another mon that we're going to talk about, I actually don't have, which is like a little bit embarrassing. I have like so many cards, but I don't have this one, so I'm going to just go over here. It's actually Gardevoir EX. Gardevoir EX is another just like really good stage 2. Once during your turn, you may take a psychic energy from your energy zone and attach it. Energy acceleration, like I talked about with Misty, is so important, and I believe that this card is 100% future proof. Like currently the only issue with Gardevoir is that it's a stage 2, right? Like you have to grind to get there, but I think like as this game continues, as we get more expansions, we're going to eventually get ways to consistently get out of Gardevoir. And if there's ever a psychic deck that's meta that needs energy acceleration, expect Gardevoir to be in that. It's just kind of makes sense, right? And even if it's like still supporting Mewtwo, like let's say next expansion we get like something that makes going into Gardevoir easy, Mewtwo is instantly like just shot up. It's already like a tier 1, like tier 1.5 deck, and this will only increase its consistency. Let's get away from the energy accelerators. I've been like yapping a little bit too much about them. A card that's like in every single deck. Like I can literally, let's take a look at this Mankey deck. I have one, don't I? Yes, Sabrina. Sabrina is the only supporter right now that has an offensive and defensive function. One, being able to obviously switch in a Pokemon to stall your opponent's energy attachments, or even being able to switch in an opponent's benched Pokemon to be able to snipe it. This card's utility is, like, I cannot stress, will always be, like, it'll always have a place in the meta. And the only way I can see this card not being future proof is if, like, a year, 2 years down the line, we get Boss's Order, which, if you guys are unfamiliar with, Boss's Order lets you choose which bench Pokemon you want and then switch it into the active, which is, like, extremely toxic. So this is, like, one step down of that toxicity. But you're already seeing people, like, play these fossil decks, right, where you have fossils to protect your main pieces, and that's because of Sabrina's strength and Sabrina's impact. And as long as, like, we need a card that can slow your opponent down, can guarantee you a prize snipe, Sabrina is just that card, right? And I think it's going to be interesting. I really hope that we get more defensive and offensive style supporter cards like this, but I just can't see this card being bad. I mentioned Sabrina and Misty, and, like, the reason why, like, they're easy to get. You should have them just by rolling eventually. But if you're someone that, like me, that wants full arts, after I get Gardevoir from Genetic Apex, I'm only going to be opening up Pikachu and Charizard packs just for the sliver of a chance I get a full art Misty or full art Sabrina, because they're going to be the card. They, like, their trade value is going to go, like, skyrocket as, like, these like stronger offensive cards become kind of like supporters in a way, or, like, just get power crept. Support these cards are gonna, like, stand the test of time. Like, a Pikachu EX will eventually be a more consistent attacker than a Pikachu EX. But what these cards like Misty and Sabrina do, so good. And speaking of a card that is actually, so I talked about Misty, I talked about Gardevoir, I talked about Sabrina. There's actually a card that is not being used nearly as much. Like, these cards, you'll see them in regular play. Like, if you go on random battle, you'll probably face a Misty Mewtwo deck, a water deck, or, like, a deck that has Sabrina. A card that's not seeing that much use that I think will eventually see more use is actually Greninja. Greninja's strength comes in its ability. It's the only ability that does this yet, where it's once during your turn, you do 20 damage to an opponent's Pokemon, any opponent's Pokemon. And as I mentioned, currently this game's issue is that you cannot search out stage 1s, which means it's even harder and inconsistent to search out stage 2s. But let's say an expansion or two down the line, they introduce, like, Ultra Ball, right, which is, like, what in the TCG it's discard one, search any card. Once we get, like, ways to, like, get into Greninja, it's honestly usable in every deck, not just water, based off of how strong its ability. Think of it like this, right? Let's say next expansion we get a way to consistently go into stage 1s. Just like Mewtwo, right? Like, you'll be able to deal 20 damage. Let's say you're playing against Charizard. Charizard's 180 HP. You would be able to deal 20 damage plus the 150 from Mewtwo's ability, plus 10 from Giovanni. Like, damage reach is insane, and you can also, like, snipe anything that's, like, kind of retreating from damage. Like I said, the only problem with this card right now is, one, it's a stage 2, which means it's very hard to get into. And two, there hasn't been, like, many, like, basic Pokemon yet that would appreciate that. There are basic Pokemon that would appreciate that. I literally just mentioned the Mewtwo thing. It's just consistency, right? Like, if I'm playing Mewtwo, I'd rather just play Gardevoir right now. There's no reason to really throw in a Greninja line just yet. But when we find a deck that wants Greninja, it's going to be so good. It's going to be so good. I think the like range and like the like outplay potential that this card allows you is going to be huge. Right now, the only way to like damage amp is Giovanni. This is essentially another damage amp, but also can tick the bench, right? Tick a basic that is not yet evolved, right? Tick a Pokemon that just retreated. Pikachu is a deck that retreats a lot, right? And like usually that Pikachu is left on very low HP. Having a Greninja on the bench that's able to snipe it would be cool, right? And this Greninja actually lives, it even lives the full powered minus Giovanni circuit attack. I don't know these Pokemon's attacks yet. I apologize. I'm not before you guys. I'll get it for you right now before we dodge circle circuit. But yeah, I think that like these four cards are like immediate must gets. And obviously, rounding off this list, I cannot stress it's Moltres. This card is broken, right? Like we talked about energy acceleration, right? Gardevoir's problem is that it's a stage 2, so it's harder to get into, but it's obviously consistent. Misty's problem is it's a coin flip fiesta, but after you use it, it burns a supporter's turn. It might flop. Moltres, on the other hand, it can flop, right? It's flip 3 coins, attach as many energies to your basics. Moltres' problem right now isn't Moltres. Moltres is broken. Its problem is that it's supporting Charizard. And Charizard, while it's a okay Pokemon, it's a good, like it's like one of the best decks in the game at the moment. It's a stage 2, and I feel like I'm a broken record at this point talking about how it's hard. Like these stage 2 decks require you to draw stage 2s. There's no way to really search them out yet, unless you get lucky with bills. Because like two Charizards in the like bottom 5 of your deck, the game's over, right? Same for Charmeleons, etc. Charmeleon's even worse. You can't even do anything, right? And so the moment I think every fire deck from now till whatever, if they need like 3 energies to attack, you should be using Moltres, even 2 energies to attack. Just the energy acceleration you get from Moltres. Almost every fire deck should be playing this. And I think that this card, the moment we get a like basic EX fire type that needs like 3 energies to attack or whatever, it's an instant tier 1 deck because of Moltres, right? Because Moltres, you lead Moltres, whatever EX card, it does EX fire Jalopy Blast, I don't know. But whatever it's going to do, it's going to be made broken because of Moltres, right? Like think about Articuno right now. It's made broken when you flip 3 heads, right? You get to attack that first turn. Well, you don't get to attack that first turn. You get to already set up whatever mon they give us, right? And I think that only time makes this card better, because if there's ever a good fire deck, this card's going to be at the forefront, right? This card is going to be in that deck. And it's not even a bad attacker on its own, right? If you have 2 Moltreses, you can energy accelerate the other Moltres and start dealing 70 while you wait for Charizards. And I think Charizard's still going to be good. Let's say there's a way to start tutoring out Charmeleons and Charizards, right? Or like even one of them, right? Like let's say we get one that says you can look up stage 1s. Then that means that the deck's consistency increases. And that means that you're supporting a Pokemon that is, one, KOing every single Pokemon in this game, but also you can actually get to that game plan. Because like I said, a lot of these decks, the only problem is you have to draw Charizard EX. The only problem with Charizard EX is you have to draw it. And if there is ever more support that allows you to search Charizard EX, it's instantly going to be that much better. And it's already a good deck. So yeah, this is like kind of like I kind of just yapped. There was like not really a script. I just had the 5 cards that I think have longevity, and there's other cards I think that are going to eventually be like really good. I think that as we get like, I think the TCG has this too, right? Where you can like rig your coin flips. When we get stuff that rigs coin flips, I think that things like Marowak getting more consistent will only be good for it. I guess Marowak doesn't even get its own like picture. Kind of lame. But I think that Marowak is another Pokemon that will eventually be stronger if you can like rig coin flips. I think Gengar, it was a Pokemon that I actually initially had on this list, but thinking of like how it's like 3 energy to attack, and while its ability is cool, it has to be in the active spot. I decided to actually cut Gengar from this list, but maybe Gengar gets better as well. But there you have it. Do you have any other cards you feel like players should be getting full arts of, or like the rarest version, because they're going to be usable for as long as this game is out? This has been my Yap session. Thank you for joining. If you like more content like this, whether it's for Pokemon Pocket or for VGC, I would love to create more stuff like this. Other than that, I've yapped enough. I'm going to play this game now. Bye bye.